Welcome back to the UA Little Rock School of Business Major Day podcast. In today's final episode of our three-part series, we're exploring what the future might look like as generative AI continues to evolve in marketing and advertising. Our guest, Armand McCoy, shares his insights on where the industry could be headed in the next 3 to 5 years. From AI-driven content production to hyper-personalized campaigns, and the skills students will need to stay competitive in an ever-changing landscape. Let's dive into what the future holds for AI in marketing. So students always, or I even have a temptation to just ask the ChatGPT to do things and then like do the work for me, right? But it will not like you just mentioned that it will not grow your muscles, right?
Hmm.
You need to exercise like exercising. You need to train yourself and then build your muscle, like critical thinking muscles, right? So
Hmm.
how do you have any know-how to stop students using random ChatGPT works or like overcome the temptations and then build their own muscles. You know what I'm saying?
I, I don't know if I have the complete and full answer for that, but I think for me, um, what it has meant uh, is, in some ways, I've seen it as an opportunity to just have more conversations, um,
Okay.
um, more discussion, you know,
Oh,
to versus, hey, fill out this discussion post on Canvas. Um, I know you can do that, but from the agency or even in the classroom, it's been um, pausing and then having direct dialogue with my students on a given topic. Um, for exercising that creative growth. One of the games that I've been playing with my agency students every week is a game called Wash a Pig, and
mm,
uh, uh, awesome gentleman in advertising developed this awesome card game where I get you know a prompt and a situation, and then every week I set a timer. We break out into groups randomly, so it helps my agency students also get to know each other more than they would. And then they have to generate ideas with you know um, oftentimes I'll create a scenario where it's laptops down, no cell phones, work as a team, and then come to develop a headline or maybe develop some down and dirty thoughts or creative idea of how you might um, express this particular idea. And so it's been, I think, in a very high tech environment, it's been finding those low tech opportunities. Working with them on things like brain writing. So, where just get a piece of paper and pen and a set timer, and they all develop and generate their own ideas, and then we come together, and then they have to each present what their thinking was, or um, uh, even I found at the maybe end of a session that we were working together is, okay, what additional questions came about from this that you really want to dig into, or you kind of go, I feel like I need to look in this direction to get more information. um, then I think that's where then at that once that context is done, then that's where something like a tool like that could help you continue to figure, okay, what's in the right, where could I potentially look to figure this out, or um, where would potentially be the source for this particular piece of information, like things of that nature. So I think it's trying to find those opportunities where um, I can have more person to person
mm,
communication and discussion, and making sure that they can uh, express to me in words, what the learning objective is uh, in conversation, which I think has been awesomely helpful. Um, and it's been interesting to um, the ways in which um, they have thought of ways to potentially utilize generative AI or interesting systems that are being
Mhm.
developed that that they go, oh, I saw this or heard about this and started playing with this, and here's what I created. What do you think? And um, which is fun for me because I'm like, okay, don't stop that curiosity, um, or don't stop learning. I think that's the you know big thing is you know instead of being opposed to it, going, okay, have curiosity, keep learning new systems, keep digging into um, how we could look at something used maybe differently or more efficiently or things like that. Because the one guarantee of what we all do is that it's ever changing, and that we have to be lifelong learners because
Right.
um,
Yeah.
the tools of our trade and the systems we use um, are ever changing. I mean, man, I mean,
Changing never stops.
never stop. Adobe. I can remember, you know, uh, Canva. You
Right.
when it rolled out, and some people have opposition to it. Um, and I kind
That's
of
right.
naturally leaned into it as okay.
Right.
There are some benefits and values to it in how it's used as a tool, um, and helping folks be able to connect and express themselves, and um, sometimes even for me it's like, oh, within team settings, when they're developing maybe they're developing a slide deck for a presentation, and those are things like, man, I wish it would have been when I was their age. I could remember designing stuff in InDesign or
Mm.
Photoshop, and unfortunately it can only be saved on one computer and one user, and so uh, it's
Right.
awesome. Or you know the way in which students
Right. Right.
now are able to go home and hop onto
Mm-hmm.
a Discord or a Teams chat, and be
Mm.
talking to each other all from their homes, all working on a
Yeah.
project together and asking questions.
Exactly.
And I think it's how do we use it to uh, bring more people together than put more people in silos. I
Mm-hmm.
think that is the key. How can we use this as an opportunity for connection and collaboration and community, and to to hopefully develop the best product possible?
Yeah.
I think is the key.
Yeah. Thank you. Like that's great. I mean, after all, it's it's our own choice whether we actually build our muscles or do the
Hmm.
cheap
Hmm.
works, right?
Hmm.
And as an educator or instructor, what we need to do is to help students find the values of
Hmm.
sometimes off the switch and then think
Hmm.
critically and
Yes.
have a conversation with the
Hmm.
human,
Hmm.
and not with the AI. And then like on the switch again and then have a conversation with the AIs and then
Hmm.
humans all together, and so mutually or like simultaneously build the muscles for both human conversation, critical thinking at the same time, how to utilize or deploy AI tools to enhance
Yeah.
the performance, right? Does that,
Yeah.
that's what you just pointed out, right? That's
Yeah.
great insight. Thank you. And this may be the last question. Uh, like for me, generative AI is even scary these days
Hmm.
because it's ever changing. So, and I cannot imagine how it's gonna be evolved in next 3 to 5 years. So, what do you think? Like, how do you see generative AI evolving over the next 3 to 5 years, especially for the advertising or marketing center?
Um, I, I mean, I don't know. It's moving so quickly,
Right.
but you know, I could see it helping to I think help with more hopefully more systems within like the organizational management side of things.
Mhm.
You know, um, helping um, us with the developing efficiencies. I think um, helping us develop hopefully better creative um, within context. Um, I mean, in 3 to 5 years, I mean, it could be, I mean, so much. My hope within um, advertising is, I think hopefully it will be to help consolidate and maybe streamline um, how we create, maybe help with some production, particularly duplication, when maybe, we're working on campaigns, often all those pieces and parts, that you're creating. So having to develop that 320 by 50 digital programmatic ad, and then it can also help initial design of that 300 by 250 and resizing um, designs for all the different mediums that it will go into. Um, I think helping and with consistency across creative will be key. I think it will help us with in many ways as we move to a world where personalization, is becoming more and more uh, valuable, and I guess getting people to move, people seeing themselves,
Mhm.
what they're doing. I think it will allow us to reach more people in ways that they feel seen, potentially, and just be able to produce the amount that you need to be able to get frequency now. You've got to meet people in more and more and more touch points than ever before to get um, the desired move. Um, and so, I don't know, generative AI 3 to 5 years ago, I can't predict because, generative AI, of what I saw even,
Right.
3 years ago with the speed in which, Chat GPT or
Ah,
Perplexity or Claude is moving. Um, the development of custom GPTs, which is I find fascinating and fun and interesting, um, uh, is exciting. I know one of my goals is to spend some time. I've developed one or two simple GPTs, often just for myself, of perspectives or um, wise words or thoughts, particularly around like leadership. So good leadership principles, um, that's been helpful for me to get perspective of,
mhm.
I wanted to teach this leadership concept, and have a GPT, be able to go through and go, hey, looking at all these, leadership management books, um, what's a way that I can take, what normally might be, a 10-minute lesson that I developed, you know, how could I say it in 3 minutes
Mhm.
or 2 minutes,
Right.
in a way that it can be interspersed, or um, I often like to use it for like, okay, let's smash these different things, or can I find some current cultural relevance, whether it's what's going on with Chapel Roan, or something that's happening right now
Mhm.
today, and I feel this is the connection. Can you help me quickly tie this to a core concept, and where there might be some linkage, so I can um, uh, finite level, just quick connection where they can see, oh, there's this, and here's this is this display, and here's the key terminology. So I think there's
Yeah.
so much, and Sora is interesting. I haven't played deeply with it, but I think that's going to be a whole thing with video generation.
Mhm.
Um, but I wonder with anything, you look at the diffusion of innovation. At a certain point,
Right.
when we hit mass market, what will it look like in 3 to 5 years?
That's right.
I think generative AI in some form uh, will be here and evolve, because generative AI, of course, as you know, is not new. It's been integrated into our world for longer than we know. That's like when people talk about QR codes, and you're like, well, yeah, that's been
Uh-huh.
around since like the early to mid 90s, and so it just was, the technology has caught up with it, very much so. Like in my career, when I remember working and doing work in the AR, augmented reality space 10 years ago,
Yeah.
um, when people thought we were crazy, and
Yeah.
now it's commonplace. But again,
Right.
as technology evolves, its use and application in solving the problem, you know,
Yeah.
is the key. How is it helping us to solve the problem that we have in the moment?
Yeah. I mean, that sounds great. I mean, so like you described, like broadly, I think overall, generative AI currently can do uh 80% out of 100 work, quality works, or 75, or which means like uh you can get a like a B work, B level work with the
Hmm.
you can produce a B level work by using generative AI or other AI tools. But like to go beyond the A level or like a 90 out of 100,
Hmm.
like like you just mentioned, the critical thinkings and muscle knowledge muscles are required. And like overall, I hope like you just mentioned that like generative AI become an agent.
Hmm.
So like making multiple agent throughout the like creation, advertising or marketing process, entire process from the beginning to the end, and then circulate it and,
Hmm.
and enhance our ability to make a work consistently. That's something that I dreamed about, but at the same time, I'm scared that maybe AI becomes so smart and even uh, go beyond the A level that I can make,
Hmm.
right? So that's a scary
Yeah.
uh, scenario, but yeah, we don't know, right? So what we need to do is, I think, like you mentioned, that always learn and
Hmm.
play and think critically and communicate each others and do
Hmm.
works.
Yeah.
Thank you, Armand. This has been such a fascinating and insightful conversation, and thank you again for sharing your thoughts and experience with us today. And before we go, where can our listeners find you or follow your work online?
Sure. You of course can follow the work of Lindsey and Asp
Mhm.
on at lindseyandasp.com,
Okay.
which is our agency website.
Hmm.
And then, of course, you can find me on LinkedIn,
Hmm.
um, to kind of follow what I'm doing. And then, of course, as always, follow the Gaylord College of Journalism and Mass Communication at the University of Oklahoma, um, and to see the awesome and amazing work that our faculty, staff, and students from undergrad to PhD are doing in our field to move it forward and making our world and our industry better.
Thank you. All right. Again, thank you so much for your time today, and I hope we survive
Mhm.
in next 3 to 5 years in AI ever-changing environment. Thank you.
Of course. Till next time.
Thank you. That wraps up our conversation with Armand McCoy on the future of generative AI in marketing. From automation and personalization to creative collaboration, it's clear that AI will continue to shape the way we communicate. But human insight, ethics, and adaptability will remain essential. Whether you're a student, educator, or industry professional, we hope this series has offered valuable perspectives on how to work with AI, not against it. Thank you for joining us, and stay tuned for more conversations at the intersection of technology, creativity, communication, and the real-world experiences of UA Little Rock marketing alumni.